everyone, I'm Dolly Curtis, and I'm in Darien today with Mustafa. How do you do?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
It's a pleasure to come and see these wonderful Oriental rugs. Did I say that right now?
That's right. That's
I
right.
feel like I'm in a wealth of textiles.
Yeah.
Just like almost a museum.
Well, that's part of history and the modern days. We are still making handmade Oriental rugs the old-fashioned way.
Really? And they're coming from thousands of miles?
Thousands of miles. Every country is making. Pakistan is making. Iran is making. India is making. Turkey is making.
Really?
In fact, China is getting in more and more. And they're making a lot of rugs now.
And are we talking really high quality? Because everything here looks just beautiful.
Yes, every country makes, good and bad rugs. So there are very high quality Indian rugs. There are very high quality Pakistani rugs. And of course, very high quality Persian and Turkish. In fact, the Turkish silk hariki is
That's
fabulous rug.
Creme de la creme, huh? The top of the line?
That's right. That's right.
So explain to me how this works. I mean, how does this whole thing take place? The Oriental.
Well, it starts with you have a loom, and then you draw what design you want to make on a graph, which establish the quality of the rugs. Like if the graph is like 10, 20, it means 200 knots per square inch.
Right.
And then you have 3 different kinds of knotting system. One we call it a Sena knot.
Right, I understand, a Sena knot.
And then Gyodaz knot, which is a Turkish knot.
We call it a Gordy's knot?
Gordy's knot.
Okay, how did you say that?
Gyodaz.
Okay.
And then there is a Spanish knot, which is actually, nobody's making that. It used to be like 100 years ago. It's called Spanish knot. A lot of antique rugs, they do have that Spanish knot. Not anymore. So those are the 3 basic knotting system in Oriental rugs. And in India, Pakistan, China, basically they all use Sena knot. In Turkey and some of the tribal area in Iran, they make Gyodaz or what you call
Gordy's knot.
Gordy's knot.
But it's the materials that they work in that make the...
Yes, most of the rugs, they are made in wool.
The material, the weft material, but...
Warp and the weft could be cotton in Sena, but most of the Gyodaz knots are wool on wool. That's why all those antique rugs, what you see, they are wool on wool. Like Mr. Cromwell's rug, it's on wool, because they are made in the tribes, and the cotton is not available. So what they do, they have their sheep, and they have their own wool, they dye it, and then they make rugs. So they don't have to go to the city to get a cotton or...
For the warp.
For the warp and the
But it
weft.
surprises me a lot that they don't use a linen thread for... Here, if a person was going to make a really high-quality rug, a weaver, but from this tradition, they would work with a linen warp.
Yes, in some part of the world they do this. They use for the Orientals too. If they are squeezing like so many knots per square inch, like more than 300.
Oh, finer.
Finer. Actually, silk is very strong.
I know.
You could make like a couple of thousand knots per square inch.
Well,
and
silk is the finest rug, right?
Finest rugs. I mean, the Turkey is really unbelievable in
now,
that
do
respect.
people come here and just come see you, and every day is a surprise for you?
Oh, yes, and it's challenging.
You never know what they're going to show you. Like Mr. Cromwell came in,
yes,
my cameraman.
And he
you never met him before.
I never met him before, and I saw his rug, and I said, oh, my God.
Now, where is his?
This is a Russian from the Kazakhstan area. It was probably made in the late 1800s, and when I saw Mr. Cromwell's rug, I said, Mr. Cromwell, this is a beautiful rug. And look at the condition and everything.
Yeah, very good condition.
And
I mean, even the fact that it's wool on wool, and no moth, very little or no moth damage.
It depends on how you take care of your rugs. You see, if you heard the stories, grandma taking outside the rug, beating it.
Right.
Right.
That's like a
So,
song. Grandma's
right,
beating the rug today.
beating the rugs outside. Now, with the 21st century, what we are doing, we're using the same method, same technique, but we use the beater vacuum cleaner. And then we are taking the dirt out. You see, from an oriental rug, taking the dirt out is number one priority. What happened when you are walking, you are bringing some sand, some particles of different kinds, and even clean them, vacuum them, but those stays like this is warp and weft
Down into the
rug.
into the rug.
And that's dangerous because if it stays there and you don't take it out with the humidity,
it'll corrode it. So
That's
I've
right.
seen people pick up an oriental rug
and they have a dry rug.
and it's rotted.
Rotted. That's what happened. That mud stays there with the humidity, that rots. So that's the first
Well,
thing.
I've also seen rugs that have jute or burlap hemp
Right.
used for the warp, so it has really very little
That's
fed
a lot
time.
of
It'll
Spanish
rot,
rugs are that way.
and that'll rot in time.
In fact, a lot of in the Portuguese, they used to make the Portuguese needle points. They use that
Oh, for the structure.
for the structure.
So that'll just in
That's,
time,
that's very.
no matter how
nice.
you take care of
That's
it.
right. So how are we going so
Well,
far?
he's going to need a lot of close-ups for that, but that's excellent. In fact, I think you ran the whole, that's probably the whole 30 minutes right there.
No, about 20, well, not with the beginning one, this one's about 25.
Oh, I can tell you
Yeah,
so
that's-
many stories, but
Well, we can,
maybe we can.
like it's a road show. I feel like I'm on the, no, really, I mean, and so his is all dyed with
All vegetable dyes.
vegetable
All
dyes, but you
vegetable
can
dyes.
tell the people how that you can, the difference now with the vegetable dyes was before 18,
Well, in 1920s,
is really when you see
when they
the,
start using the chemical dyes.
an aniline dye. You told
Aniline
me you're a
dyes.
chemist.
Right.
Right.
I was a chemistry major, but end up using the same business what my father did, my grandfather did, my great-grandfather did. So it's all, they let us do whatever we want to do
So
first,
you
then come into business.
you understand the dyes though.
Oh, yes, of course.
And the people like the vegetable dyes because they have the softer tones.
That's right. With age, the beauty of the vegetable dyes is that with the age, they go softer but beautiful.
Now they fade, but they fade
but
nicely.
gracefully, I would call
Gracefully,
it.
right.
So
Right.
it's a very important in Oriental rug. What you see, even in these days, people are using hand-spun wool, vegetable dyes, going back to the basics.
You
So
told me
we are.
there's so
yes.
there's demand for that. So
Oh,
because
absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
people come in and they want that, so the people are still making them. If there's a
Sure.
demand here,
Absolutely. For example, you see, this is, we call it a German chrome dyes, and then.
what
here
did you?
is the
What did
rest
you?
of-
Wait a minute. What did you just say? A German
German chrome. It's
chrome. I know what that means.
That's right. So those are those dyes. And look at these vegetable dyes. Now they are made exactly the old-fashioned way. There is no modern technique involved in this.
And this warp is the cotton.
The cotton. Because of the reason it's made, it's a little difficult to make in wool on wool.
I know they stretch.
It's stretch, and also it's hard to make. So
I wouldn't prefer to do that. I spent a
Yeah,
lot of
but-
years weaving. I wouldn't prefer to work
that's
with
why
wool
90% of the rugs they are coming or we are making, they are on cotton warp and weft.
Right, makes a lot more sense because
Yes.
the wool warp would stretch and it's very
Stretch and it's-
elastic.
that's right.
Humidity would affect it. It
sure.
would go lumpy and
That's
not a
right.
good idea.
Yeah.
So Victor came in to have his rug
It
looked
got
at.
cleaned and looked at, and I said, Mr. Cromwell, this
So-
is a beautiful rug.
So every day different, or no one, or some days different people, or no people, or it's different here.
Yeah, people come, they bring their, sometimes they bring from one rug from their attic, and it's worth a lot of money. Like you said, it's a roadshow.
Roadshow.
So I love to dealing, with the old rugs because that's my passion, my personal passion, because I love my ancestors, of course,
Okay.
and I'd see what they were making, 200 years ago, 150 years ago, and we do have a lot of old rugs. In the museum, you go to the museum, you see all those old rugs, and new
Well, what
rugs.
about preservation? What about someone like Victor says, okay, this rug hasn't been cleaned or walked on in 50 years.
Right. So that's very important.
see.
Everybody should know that always get your rugs cleaned at least once in 5 years. But vacuum the rug from up and down every 6 months. So basically, you are doing the grandma's job, taking the dirt out.
So you flip it over.
Flip it over, and you'll be surprised to see how much dirt comes out.
So don't take it out and put it on the clothesline with the rug beater, if you can? Or
Well,
that's a pretty big rug
no,
to take outside.
well, if it's a small one, yes, but how are you going to take 10 by 14
can't,
rugs out?
right.
So, and always, go to your local Oriental rug dealer. They know what to do with it. But if you just go for a cleaning, no, I will not recommend that.
Now, vegetable dye will have to be handled very carefully.
Yes and no. If a person knows how to handle it, it's a daily routine. But if a person doesn't know, you are
So, in other words, you got to take it to
a professional,
an Oriental,
rug dealer, whoever you're.
and you should do it every 5 years.
At least once 5.
But if you're not, even if you're not walking on it,
Well, then at least what you should do, like I said, vacuum it, back and forth.
okay.
But that's what.
Well, tell me a little bit about the dye. I know that black dye is some of these have beautiful black backgrounds. They're really spectacular, but black is a very difficult dye to come by. You can't really make it in a vegetable dye.
Yes and no.
It's a hard.
Well, we have some, berries. We can extract some, and so we make some lot of.
You know how berries
That's
that you
right.
think are going to make blue make
Blue.
anything but that.
That's right. But
Like-
you mix some colors and
I know
make
that
black.
it's hard to come by. I remember quite dangerous too. Black dyes made out of.
Yeah, the
some of these
best part is
chemical
you
dyes.
have to be very careful on black
Yeah, I know.
when you are washing it, because the black color in vegetable dyes is very dangerous. Because if you have black in one, and it could overlap.
Overlap and run.
and
Oh,
run.
I know they'll run. Many of the dyes will run.
Sure.
So my experience with small carpets would be to roll it in towels. I still keep old toweling. So if I'm doing something fine like a carpet, and if I'm putting it in a bathtub, and not when wool is wet, you don't want to move it around too much.
Well, you're absolutely right. Now, a lot of people, what they do, they wash the rug, and they do a good job on a bathtub or something, and then they hang it. What happened with the gravity?
No,
when
not strong enough to do
Not
that.
strong enough, and the colors, they go with gravity
Oh,
down, and it
sure.
overlaps.
Right.
No. What you do if you like to wash your own rug, let it stay flat.
Well, roll it in a few towels and get some of the excess color
Right.
up on the toweling.
And just lay it flat and let it dry.
How about with vinegar? Is it true about putting vinegar in the water? We used to always do
Well,
that.
different
white
people
vinegar
have different
to
opinions.
hold the color fast.
Not really. What I like to do is just use a common sense,
Which is what?
which is like a baby shampoo,
Baby shampoo, because it's mild.
mild. So you wash with that. We have our own
Yeah, I know, the
special light detergents, which we learn, of course, from the parents.
Right.
And if you want to do it at home, what you do is use a baby shampoo and rinse it out and suck the water as much as you can and let it dry naturally.
Or bring it here.
Or bring it here, or any local Oriental rug dealers, take it to them. Don't just go any rug cleaners, or carpet
Carpet,
cleaners. No,
really?
I will not recommend that.
And then you told me that the carpets that come to you now from China,
From China, from India, Pakistan,
they come
even in Iran, yes.
with moth-proofing
Yes,
on them.
yes. Most of the rugs they are coming right now, they moth-proof over there, rather than, for example, we make rugs in Pakistan. As we speak, somebody's already making there. So the process is you have a loom, then the people come and work, It's a cottage industry.
First of all, do people understand that the looms are upright?
Right.
That I think that it's all strings, right? Is it done with strings?
That's right. So basically,
very labor intensive.
right. But if you get Pakistani or Irani labor to make these rugs, it'll be very costly. But there is a one factor a lot of people don't understand. In that part of the world, they are made by young girls. Now, young girls, 14, 15, 16, they are not supposed to go out of the house. So what they're going to do? So they learn the trade, which is Oriental rugs. So what our people do, they go to their, I mean, we already know them, their parents worked for our family, and then when the kids grow up, 15, 16, we set up a loom in their own home.
Oh.
And their friends could come, they join them. For example, if we are making a big rug, we put 4 girls.
I know, on a bench.
In a bench.
And
they are from
the cartoon is behind the
cartoon
diagram.
behind, and then they follow that, and they you know, talk. And
Every single weaver is a little different, though, in the way they do their work.
Sure. Now, you see, exactly, it's a very good question you asked me. You have to be very careful when you put a very fine rug and put 4 people on it.
Exactly.
What you see, for example, I'm making a knot. Here's the wool, warp and weft, and I'm pulling it and squeezing it. And maybe I'm pulling like 30 degrees this way.
All right.
And the other girl is pulling 40 degrees that way.
All right.
It's not going to work. So what we see, we let them try for like 3-4 days to see how the rugs is coming out. And if they are doing in a different angle, we stop it right there.
What you do is
So we have to change.
That's just change their position.
That's it, change their position or do something. And then, that's another thing, we have to be careful. If someone is getting married in 6 months, we don't put it on. Because we're going to lose, you know, 10 by 14, 12 by 15 rugs.
Right, they take a year.
We need a year and a half sometime.
A year, right? A person's working on a rug in a year.
4 people for a year.
4 people in a year. That's where
So-
the value is.
Well, again, you know, value is determined, you know, how many man hours and which country it is. So it's a lot of different
And what
factors.
whether it's wool or silk.
Wool or silk, that's
Cotton.
only 10%
Really?
of the
Really?
value. Yes. Wool and silk, it's not a big deal. Wool and silk is like maybe...
Oh, how about the pattern? I mean, some of these are so much more patterned than others.
Yes,
Does
but
that
again, not that much. It's not a big factor, no. What you do is look at the quality of the rugs and determine, you see, I call Oriental rug is an open secret.
Why?
Because if you put things together, you can evaluate how much it costs you. You see, you go to, for example, this is a Persian rug. Okay. Now, this is the Pakistani rug. So
Okay.
you can see that Pakistani rugs, how many knots per square inch, how many man hours, and you
The
can-
women are making these rugs for her.
Right.
And you're calling them man hours. We
Well,
know
woman
young
hours,
girls,
okay. Well, woman hours, thank you
young
for
girls are doing it.
Young girls are doing it.
But you're saying it goes by the number of knots, the density.
Density
density.
and the labor, basically. And of course, there is an artistical value. For example, there are very fine rugs like Nain, Isfahans, and pieces like that. You have to go for the real density of the rugs. And you see how many knots per square
Well, you can't
inch.
even tell. What do you take you take a
You
magnifying?
can take a
Because you have
mic.
to pick it almost with a pick to know how many. You have to-
Sure, you can go and take a ruler and see a square
Yes.
inch and count how many rows there are.
All right.
Like I said, it's an open secret. So if you put everything together and feel the wool,
So it's like quilting. It's the same thing. It's how the density, how much the
Sure.
the detailing is of the rug.
that's right.
How much.
Yes,
Stitching
and you know that's
done.
very important to know. You know how the value determined. We'll show you the different designs and
Okay, we'll take a
Colors.
quick minute. We'll take a look at that.
Please.
So these are some of your treasures here, hmm?
Well, this is the one we made in Pakistan. For example, this one, the design is like Mr. Cromwell's antique Kazakh.
Kazakh.
So we made this one exactly the same way, like hand-spun wool, vegetable dyes, all the good stuff. And look at the quality of the rug. It's brand new.
Okay, so you're just taking that 100-year-old pattern.
Oh, design is probably
Oh, thousands, really?
thousands years old.
Thousands.
So here is one classic example. Then look at this fine rug over here. That's a very formal rug. So in a formal setting, I could make this rug in even different sizes if somebody wants. But this is a nice floral pattern you can see. And look at the quality of the rug. It's about 300 knots to the inch.
Oh, really?
Oh,
300,
yes.
not so. Because, you know, when they shear them, you told me they cut them by hand.
Sure, everything is done by hand.
I didn't realize that. I know with the vegetable dyes, is that vegetable dye? You make,
No, this is not vegetable.
because, you know,
But
you can make
look
a
at
lot
this
of
one.
yellows
This
easily.
is another vegetable dye.
Yeah, that's really nice. Those are those nice tones, those crimson.
Sure.
I like those amber colors. So now, is this also Kazakh?
No, this is from the Shirwan type of area.
Say that
You know,
again?
it's all from the Caucasus area, we call it.
Okay.
From the Caucasian, you know, that area.
Right.
So all those designs are Caucasian design, we call it.
So it's on cotton.
No,
That's not
it's
cotton?
supposed to be wool, but we made it in cotton.
Right, I see it's a cotton warp, and it's
All vegetable dyes, hand-spun wool.
wool.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's very nice. That's very nice.
And here is another.
Now, do you call that a formal? Is that a formal?
That's a formal setting again.
Okay. That's lots of work in that because
That's
so
a lot
much
of work.
detail in that.
Look at it in soft colors.
Now, is this? I don't know the difference
This
between
is-
a formal.
Well, it's
Oriental.
more flowers and, you know, medallions, and overall they are more formal settings.
Okay.
And when you go for angular geometrics, that's, we call it a more primitive look. And look at this one. This you can use anywhere.
Okay, so that's not formal.
You could use in a formal setting or even a primitive setting because the flowers are so big. In a large rug, you can use anywhere you like.
Okay. So what about a contemporary? You said
In
you
a contemporary, you can go more angular pieces. I have to show you some of those. Look at these very soft colors.
For me, they work better when they have the stronger amber tones and
Sure. Look at all these.
like that. I love the traditional burgundies,
Sure.
and the black backgrounds are fabulous. That's
the black
lots
background.
and lots of work in that and detail.
Look at this detail.
Yeah, I love that. That's terrific. I love that black.
This is the traditional
Almost-
Bukhara.
This one almost looks American Indian, you know?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
a very nice geometric design. And we call it a Bukhara.
Buhara, and
Yeah,
it's in
that's
these.
also, you know, from Russia, Bukhara. They
Hmm.
originated there, and we make in different colors, and in fact, different. We call them gulls, and you can make. You can see some of the very round gulls. We call it the elephant foot, so you can do that. And look at this.
That's totally different. Now this one I like a lot.
This
'cause
is
it's so
from
different.
Turkey. Yeah, this is called doshe mealti. Again, the tribal. This is a tribal doshe
Okay.
mealti from Turkey.
And that's less knots to the inch because you can see.
Yes, but look, you have wool on wool.
Wool on wool.
You see?
You can see that because it's
You
so
can see
much
that
heavier.
Right.
That'd be nice in a house that had a heavier house. You know, I have a
Sure.
feeling it's like a lot of wood.
Look at
That's
this.
beautiful.
Look at this, the famous tree of life.
Oh, is that what that is? That's
Yes.
terrific.
You see, life is like a tree, and
Right.
So
I imagine that would fit beautifully in a formal
that's right. That's right.
with nice furnishings. Right. Very, very
we
nice.
got it in a different color.
Yeah,
here.
that's another one. Another tree of life in a
Yeah.
little bit different
different.
design.
And look at this. It's the
Now, what is it? What is this?
the Chinese Art Deco.
Okay.
Now, these rugs are made exactly the Chinese Art Deco, and they are vegetable dyes.
Really?
Yes, and they are available in almost every size.
It's hard. You know, once they get clipped, it's so hard. The
look at
plush, So hard to even see where the,
See these designs. See?
that's very interesting. Everybody, you have to come and see these because you're missing the ones on the back. You're only seeing the ones on the front.
Yeah, look at this.
You're only getting a quick look. That's lovely. That's really very different. That's the Tree of Life. Not really, but it's a big floral pattern.
Sure.
Terrific. Well, there's so much to see here, and these are just the ones that are all opened out. There's another 1,000 of them that are bundled up. So if you really wanted to get into it with someone, you could really show them your tricks, right?
Absolutely.
If the lady's good looking and you decide you want to really show her
To
something.
me, every lady
Is
has
good.
its own character and his own beauty.
I'm sure.
So
You see, every carpet has its own beauty.
Sure, sure.
So I'm sure every female has its own beauty. Well, I'm so happy that Victor Cromwell found his way here.
Sure.
And you two met and had a chance to
thank you.
talk about all the years of life that you've spent here in Darien and
Sure.
he's spent here in Darien, and
Sure.
and that I got this opportunity to meet you today.
It's a pleasure.
And we will share this, with all the people out there in television land.
It's a pleasure. It's
And
a
then
pleasure.
that they have the inkling to come here and look at some of these beautiful. It's like being in really a textile museum, right here in Darien,
Okay.
right here in Fairfield County. Well, thank you so much for having
you.
us this
Sure.
lovely day.
Pleasure.